Hello to you. Hello to everyone um, who is watching this live stream. I'm happy to see all of you. And today we will watch video about earthquakes. I remember that I was watching videos about tornadoes and other, how to say, nature disasters. And I'm sure that today's live stream will be very interesting, and I hope that I will find some interesting information by watching this. And before we will start, of course, it will be amazing if you will leave your likes. Yeah, and you can leave your comments below. Maybe you was experiencing in your life earthquakes and not only. Yeah, it would be nice to know. And I already preparing, yeah, tea for myself. And oh, I forget about milk. One moment, I will take milk because I have milk now, and I will drink tea with milk. One moment. I don't know. I have no idea how it's happened that I forget about milk. How it's happened. And yes, what we will do now. This video will be, of course, educational in some way. I hope as much as it's possible it will be educational. And I have even pessimist mug with me and huge cup of huge spoon. It means that I'm ready completely. Okay, let's start watching.
Nature's
This video will be like 20 minutes. I'm sure that I will find a lot of cool stuff. And yeah, it would be nice, as I said before, leave your comments. What do you think about earthquakes? And reason why I decided to watch, of course, in New York there was earthquake. In Taiwan there was earthquake. Before there was earthquake in Turkey, in Syria, in Japan, in California, or where? I mean, earthquakes, it is part of our reality. They were always happening, and they will always happening. It is something that like inevitable. And that's one of the reasons I'm like, okay, if it's happening, maybe it is good to remember to yourself that you need to be careful. Of course, such big disasters when they're happening, it is difficult to predict. Like it is very difficult to predict, and maybe sometimes even impossible. Yeah, maybe. Okay, let's go. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Earthquakes are one of nature's most terrifying forces. They often strike with little warning and can cause
Yeah, hello Semnonia. See your message. Heart to you, Semnonia. Happy to see you.
as much destruction as an atomic weapon. History is filled with examples of powerful quakes, but a select few stand out among the rest.
What kind of magnitude it was when you see such? Of course, it looks like Photoshop, but I will be not surprised if it is not Photoshop. Really, I will not be surprised because it's quite possible. Yeah, it is quite possible. Uh, just one of the thing. If I didn't see this in reality, does it mean that it cannot, like, it's never happened? Somehow people believe that dinosaurs that were killed by asteroid. I mean, what kind of disaster it was. And hello to you, Wildcat, heart to you, happy to see you. I cannot see my face. Yeah. Wildcat, heart to you, happy to see you. And yeah. If I didn't see this, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist and it cannot happen. Yeah, it can happen. And it's the reality that nobody is protected from this disaster. I mean, you can find pretty well constructed buildings which can hold so much, I mean, magnitude as a result. Like maybe, yeah, if you live in a house which is like simple house, you has less I would say chances to survive.
Few stand out among the rest. Here are the 10 biggest earthquakes in all history.
I would again all history. What does the mean of history? I mean like all maybe recorded history and or maybe yeah, because difficult to imagine that it is like all him. I'm sure there was when dinosaurs were existing, there was probably other scale of disasters.
Kobe is the 7th largest city in Japan. With a population of 1.5 million people, it's on par with cities like Philadelphia and San Diego. Kobe was one of the first Japanese cities to trade with other countries after the 265-year policy of seclusion ended in 1853. The policy strictly limited which countries could trade with Japan and basically barred anyone from entering or leaving the country. Kobe's economy exploded when it ended, becoming an important port city for Japanese trade. They grew and grew for over 150 years, until a massive earthquake in 1995 set them back a couple of decades. Known as the Great Hanshin Earthquake, or the Kobe Earthquake, the 6.9 magnitude tremor lasted for 20 terrifying seconds, causing more than $100 billion in damage. According to
just 20 seconds. Can you imagine? 20 seconds and it's done. Building which you was building is done. I mean, it is sad. There was some message, I do not see what's happening. There was message and I cannot see what's happened. I didn't notice there was something about China. Don't know, sorry, I was not deleting this message. Hope that you will write again, I want to understand what you wrote. And hello to Wildcat, yes, I said this before, but you asked question. Is your hair growing back, Alex? I think, of course, it is growing back as much as they can. I mean, can I show? I can show at least one side, you can see. It is short. I mean, you can see it's kind of like same here. I don't know. Of course it is growing. Of course it is growing. I mean, it will grow. Just one of the things that I didn't expect that it will be so terrible haircut ever in my life. I mean, the worst haircut in my life ever. I mean, it is the worst. Because if you're looking behind me, I feel myself like, oh no, don't, like, behind it is just, no, that's, I never was doing, I mean, there usually always was some hair here. And I was doing here like, yeah, I always did like this. But now, she did this here, here, like, oh my god, that is so awkward. It is awkward. Yes, you would like me, Alex. What do you mean? I would like you, like, to have more hair? Yes. Anyway, I didn't see their message. Yes, somebody left message. I didn't have chance to read this comment. Yes. You can leave your comments again. It would be nice to see. Just I didn't notice, and I don't know why. I was not deleting anything. Let's go.
To National Geographic, the earthquake claimed 6,000 lives and left another 45,000 homeless. Encyclopedia Britannica puts that homeless figure closer to 300,000 across the Hanshin region. In just 20 seconds, the Kobe earthquake damaged 240,000 homes and left millions without water or electricity.
Can you imagine? It is huge disaster. It is huge disaster. And I kind of like hundreds, thousands of people were left without homes. It is terrible. Hello to you, Ginger. Heart to you, Ginger. Happy to see you. And looks like you did the top. It will be cute when it grows out. I hope it will grow. Of course it will grow. Like, why not? Why not?
Tremor began north of Awaji Island, about 12 miles away from Kobe's city center. It struck at 5:46 a.m., just as the city woke up on a Tuesday morning. It was the worst earthquake to hit Japan since the Tokyo-Yokohama earthquake in 1923, which claimed 140,000 lives. Japan is a hotbed for seismic activity as it sits on the borders of 4 tectonic plates: the Pacific, North American, Eurasian, and Filipino. These plates rub into each other all the time. The pressure builds.
These plates rubbing each other all the time, and it makes sense, of course. I was watching news today about earthquake in New York. In New York, did you know that there was earthquake yesterday? And you can find a lot of videos, like people were not expecting. People do not know how to behave when earthquake is happening. I do not know how to behave, what to do. And as a result, people, example, there was footages, like videos, people were working and they saw they were feeling everything was shaking, and they did, like, guy was like looking around like, what is happening? He was not understanding. He went to check a window, and another guy arrived and they had some discussion. And another video which I saw today, where young guy was playing guitar, he was trying to sing or to do whatever he could do with guitar. And same, he was like, what? Like there was earthquake, and he's like was a little bit shocked. Yeah. And I see your messages. Yeah, Ginger, hi to you. I see your greetings. And you don't get a haircut. One moment, I want to read again. You don't get a haircut like that unless you are an English gangster, Alex. I don't know how looks English gangsters. They're probably drinking tea with cookies at 5 p.m. What does I mean? Like, maybe it means that I know so little about gangsters and culture in UK. Boom. Blinders, Peaky Blinders, Peaky Blinders. Yeah, I already want to be like English gangster because I remember these. I didn't watch all seasons of Peaky Blinders, but it makes sense. They're cool, guys. Yeah, like strict hairstyle. Every word has value. Stuff like this. Yeah, do not be like chushpan. Chushpan it is Russian slang. Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Yes, of course. I believe that in English gangsters, they also like talking about like чушпан, like a word of man, слово пацана. Yeah. Who knows what I'm talking about? They know, because right now in Russia kind of popular this series about gangsters. Not gangsters, but kind of. And it is very popular, like, gosh, there's something else. And who knows, you if you saw this movie, a series, you will understand what I'm talking about. Okay, let's go.
Builds as they collide, eventually releasing and causing earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. Once the quake subsided, 1.2 million volunteers flocked to Kobe to help with the relief effort. Companies like 7-Eleven used their supply chains to deliver supplies to needy people, and Motorola provided free telephone service for the victims. Even the Yakuza got involved with the relief effort, spreading food and supplies among needy.
Is it fake photo videos or not? She looks like she's shaking. Maybe, I don't know. Probably it is fake.
Needy victims. The organized crime syndicate played a major role in the relief effort due to the Japanese government's slow response.
Japanese government, if Japanese government doing slow response, I cannot imagine which government can do fast response, because I've heard pretty often that Japanese has quite strict rules, and they're doing everything immediately. That's what I've heard. It's like they have better quality of buildings and stuff like this. Hello, Lori. How are you? Happy to see you. And yes, I see message. Yeah, drinking tea at 4 p.m., Alex, or drinking beer at 5 p.m. in Blackpool. Yeah, that's. It means that I was understanding pretty well how looks English gangsters. And I see your message, Lori. You said, in 1906, a 7.8 quake in San Francisco killed 3,000 people. It is terrible. It is terrible. Number 9.
Tangshan is a prefecture-level city in northeastern China, residing...
Yeah, you can see, I was living all my life in this Primorsky region. You can see on the map. Like I was studying in Vladivostok 10 years. I love this city a lot. I love Vladivostok. And if you think that in Primorsky region is not happening any earthquakes, you are mistaken, because they can happen terrible earthquakes too. And if in Japan somehow and somewhere is happening earthquake, people in Primorsky region pretty often can feel it. And it's not fun. It is not fun. Hello, Frank in Texas. Heart to you, Frank in Texas. Happy to see you. I feel embarrassed saying my comments at this point. Sorry, guy. Don't be sorry. I don't know what you said, but it is okay. And sad to see the destruction. Very sad.
On the shore of the Yellow Sea, the metro area is home to over 3.6 million people and owes everything it has to a robust coal mining industry that began in 1870. They built China's first standard gauge railway, the most popular railroad type in the world. Historians call it China's cradle of industrialization. But Tangshan's entire coal mining industry almost got wiped out after a powerful earthquake struck the city in 1976.
1976. Yeah.
Dubbed the Great Tangshan Earthquake, the natural disaster registered as a 7.6 magnitude earthquake, almost as powerful as the Great San Francisco earthquake of 1906, a 7.9 magnitude tremor. The Tangshan earthquake struck at 3:42 a.m., with the epicenter located in the southern part of the city. Its tremors were so powerful that people felt the ground shaking 680 miles away in every direction. Within
Yeah, it is terrible. And hello, Alison, to you. Heart to you, and I'm happy to see you. And you say that, hi, we just had an earthquake today. We had 10 aftershocks so far. The biggest are 4 points. Alison, I hope that you are doing fine. I hope that your friends, relatives are doing fine, and that your property was not damaged, because it is it is crazy. People paying for houses, townhouses, for apartments, decades for mortgage, and suddenly just 30 seconds and you are losing everything, and you're losing your loved ones. It is terrible. In Taiwan there was earthquake too. Terrible thing. There was also some of course a result. Some buildings were collapsed. Some buildings were completely collapsed. What can I say? Sad. It is sad. And yes, I'm glad that you're doing fine, Alison. Heart to you, and hope that your friends are doing well, and everyone who is going through this and was experiencing it. Can be a traumatizing experience.
minutes, 85% of the buildings in Tangshan were destroyed or unusable. Sadly, the Tangshan earthquake was one of the deadliest natural disasters in recorded history, claiming 242,000 lives on the low end, though some people believe that figure could be as high as 665,000. Most people sleeping in unreinforced homes built of brick, rock, and concrete lost their lives that morning. Later that afternoon, a powerful 7.0 magnitude aftershock hit about 43 miles northeast of the city, causing additional damage and restricting rescue efforts. As for the coal mines, 10,000 miners were underground when the earthquake struck. Most of them made it out, but floods and power outages made the mines useless for several days. While they got the power back a few days later, it did take a year and a half to recover from the flooding and structural damage.
And pretty often it takes not 1 year and a half. In reality, it takes even longer, 3 years, 5 years, to recover from such disasters. And it makes sense, of course. It makes sense.
Damage. They didn't reach pre-quake production levels until the end of 1977.
Number 8.
Gorkha is one of 77 districts that make up Nepal, a thin Himalayan country between India and Tibet. It's the fourth largest city by area and traces back to the legendary Gurkha soldiers and the creation of modern Nepal. But those soldiers could do little to help during a 2015 earthquake that rocked Nepal to its core. On April 25th of 2015, at about 11:56 a.m., a 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck east of Gorkha district. Thankfully, many people in the urban areas were working outdoors when the earthquake occurred, which drastically reduced the loss of life. Still, almost 9,000 people perished and another 22,000 were hurt. The 2015 earthquake was the worst natural disaster to strike Nepal since the Bihar-Nepal earthquake in 1934. Aftershocks continued.
I have feeling, just my suspicion. I have a feeling that in ancient times there was earthquakes too. And obviously there was this time. As a result, some cities were abandoned. It makes sense. It makes sense that it is quite possible. Because of earthquake, one city was completely destroyed, and I have a feeling that it was happening in ancient times. Difficult to rebuild, difficult to redo this. Sometimes it's easier to build a new city than to rebuild another. It's like, yeah, it will be more expensive to rebuild this. And Sam Noni, you're right, 9,000 people, he said, and that's horrible.
For several days. Two, registering at a 6.6 and 6.7, happened within 24 hours. Then, on May 12th, 2 weeks after the initial quake, a 7.3 struck, injuring 1,900 more people and claiming over 100 more lives. April 25th of 2015 was also the deadliest day on Mount Everest. The Nepal earthquake triggered an avalanche on Mount Pumori, which slid all the way to South Base Camp on Mount Everest. 22 people in the camp were buried and passed away in the snow. This avalanche occurred almost a full year after the second deadliest day on Mount Everest in 2014, when 16 climbing Sherpas became the victims of an ice avalanche. Even though the Himalayan region is one of the most seismically active places on Earth, powerful earthquakes of 6.0 magnitude or above are pretty rare. The last one to strike before 2015 was a 6.9 quake in 1988. Before that was an 8.0 quake in 1934, which claimed over 10,000 lives.
Gosh,
This is the quickest way to clear out stuck.
10,000. Difficult to imagine, and it is terrible.
Sichuan is a landlocked province in central China, right under the word China if you're looking.
Interesting that a lot of earthquakes in this list, it is from Asia part of planet.
Looking at Google Maps. About 83 million people live in Sichuan province. If it were its own country, it'd be the 19th biggest in the world, between Turkey and Germany. They've been historically known as the Province of Abundance, as they are one.
Yeah, China is a huge country with huge population, and it's crazy that it is crazy how huge population in China.
One of China's biggest agricultural producers. In 2008, a massive 8.0 magnitude earthquake caused untold destruction in Sichuan province, claiming almost 69,000 lives and injuring another 374,000. Known as the Great...
What? Sorry? I just like... Did I hear correctly?
Almost 69,000 lives and injuring another
69,000 lives? What the hell?
74,000. Known as the Great Sichuan Earthquake, it struck on May 12th of 2008 at about 2:30 in the afternoon. It was so powerful that people 930 miles away in Beijing and 1,000 miles away in Shanghai felt the ground shake. Even people in Thailand and Vietnam reported feeling the tremors. The 2-minute earthquake destroyed 80% of the buildings close to its epicenter. Meanwhile, people evacuated office buildings in the Shanghai Financial District. In Beijing, media personnel and organizers for the 2008 Summer Olympics had to flee their offices in fear, while they...
Gosh, it is crazy. It is crazy, and I do not remember about this. Living in Southern California, I have experienced quite a few quakes. Hello to you, Jude Rames. Happy to see you. Nice to see you. For sure. Lori said, thank you for your message and sharing with your experience. You say that I experienced an earthquake while I was vacationing in San Diego in the 80s. It was so weird to have the hotel bed shaking across the floor. It was wood floor, and I can imagine that it was quite scary. Not just... I would be, don't know. I would be like, I don't know, like, not sleep. I would not sleep at the like it will end. I mean, all night.
They felt the quake. None of the Olympic buildings suffered any damage. In Hue County, east of Sichuan, a 13-car petrol train derailed and caught fire after the earthquake distorted the tracks. Rescue efforts weren't easy either. The earthquake damaged most of the highways leading to the most damaged villages. 2 chemical plants collapsed in Shifang City, burying 100 people and causing 80 tons of liquid.
They're showing here, they're talking that it is happened in China, but this footage it is made by South Korea, because I see here, you can see signs. It is written by Hangul. Hangul, it is Korean. South Korea has Hangul, and yeah, it's interesting. Maybe just they did this for picture. Who knows? Maybe it is real. Just Korean media.
Ammonia to leak into the environment. A school in Dujiangyan, a city southeast of the epicenter, collapsed on 900 students.
Yes, you can see, behind he has written Korea. Korea. Maybe just for beautiful picture they decided to put these footages to impress everyone. Yeah, I don't know. But information is quite open. I think that it can happen everywhere, and it is terrible.
Less than 60 survived. At least 7,000 school buildings collapsed because of the earthquake, and many blamed shoddy construction practices. Tan Zuoren, a writer and environmentalist, investigated the school fatalities and was arrested after reporting that 5,600 kids lost their lives because of poorly built schools. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison for inciting subversion of state power. The country of Chile breaks down into 16 first-order regions. One of those regions, the Maule region, sits in the center of Chile's long landmass. It's named after the Maule River, which garners some historical interest as it marks the southern border of the ancient Inca Empire. Today, Maule thrives on forestry, agriculture, and wine. In fact, the Maule region is Chile's biggest winemaker, producing 50% of the country's exports. In February of 2010, everyone up and down the Chilean coast definitely deserved a drink. On February 27th of that year, an 8.8 magnitude earthquake struck about 2 miles off the coast of Peyúgue, a small town of 6,600 people. The quake struck at 3:34 a.m., when perhaps only the local winemakers were awake and tending their vineyards. The intense shaking lasted for 3 grueling minutes, and 6 other Chilean regions felt the tremors. About 80% of Chile's population lived in these affected regions. Some shaking was even felt 1,500 miles away in southern Peru. But the Chilean earthquake didn't just shake the ground. It also triggered a tsunami that wreaked havoc on coastal towns in south-central Chile. 53 countries issued tsunami warnings, and the wave even caused minor damage as far north as San Diego and as far west as Japan. Back on the mainland, blackouts affected 93% of the Chilean population, and then President Michelle Bachelet declared a state of catastrophe. While
Of course, it is state of catastrophe. After earthquake, to have immediately tsunami, it is the worst ever scenario. The worst ever.
extremely powerful, the 2010 earthquake only claimed 525 lives, but losses to the Chilean economy were estimated between $15 billion and $30 billion. In fact, the 2010 earthquake was the second most powerful in Chilean history. First place goes to the Great Chilean Earthquake of 1960, which registered between 9.4 and 9.6, depending on who you ask. To this day, the Great Chilean Earthquake is the strongest earthquake ever recorded in human history. But more on that later.
There's one simple vision hack anyone...
Yeah, vision hack. What is that, vision hack? Okay. Let's read your comments and we will continue to watch videos about earthquake. And what is recommendation for people to do when you have an earthquake? Just to pray? It can happen suddenly. It can happen unexpectedly, and nobody is how to say protected from this, unless if you have own bunker, I don't know, super pooper safe place, I don't know. We have small tremors in North Texas and Oklahoma. Yeah, and Ginger, you and Frank in Texas, you said that go outside. I guess we stayed inside though. To go outside when you have earthquake. Yes. It is better to go outside probably, because it will be safer. I mean, and lie on the floor on the road, I don't know, or sit there to take with your chair and cup of tea if you have time. I'm joking. It's better not just to go outside. That's all. Some people say, it is a message from Alison, they say go under a sturdy table. I don't know, can table protect you if Probably it can. Probably it will not have direct damage. I mean, from ceiling. Probably. I saw some videos that sometimes parents with children, they were hiding under table. I saw somewhere, I remember somewhere this video. Sometimes people have cameras. These cameras kind of recording everything. Some of them doing live streams. Anyway, the idea that I saw, like right now you can find different video footages how people react and reacted on earthquake in New York, and a lot of people were just confused. They were looking just around what is happening, and they didn't know, like majority of them were confused. It makes sense. It makes sense.
The country of Russia is not one you likely associate with earthquakes, so it might be a bit of a surprise to learn that one of the largest in all of history occurred here. Back on November 4th of 1952, a magnitude 9.0 earthquake struck.
Largest in all of history. Of course, yeah. Largest in all of history. I'm from far east of Russia, and there sometimes, as I said before, can happen strong earthquakes.
Largest in all of history occurred here. Back on November 4th of 1952, a magnitude 9.0 earthquake struck just off the eastern coast of the country. The quake triggered several tsunamis in the region. This was worsened by the fact that it occurred just 81 miles away from the shore. While that part of the country is rather remote, there was one area that was hit particularly hard: the Kamchatka Peninsula. Here, 3 tsunamis occurred, ranging from 4 to 18 meters high. Each wave struck with a lengthy amount of time in between, so each time residents would escape to higher ground only to come back down when they thought the coast was clear. This left thousands of people exposed when the second wave hit. Unfortunately, it was the third wave that was the largest and most destructive. Once all was said and done, between 10,000 and 15,000 people lost their lives.
Can you imagine 3 waves of tsunami? I mean, like real waves. You like expecting like okay, one. Yeah, okay, you expected one. Then you're like, wow, second one. I mean, and they're like, but third. And at the same time, a largest tsunami than previous two. Gosh, you do not have any chance to survive. It is terrible. I've heard about this. I've heard, and Kamchatka region in Russia, it is famous for this. It has a lot of different volcanoes. In Kamchatka, if people usually go to this region for tourism in Soviet time, because the prisoners in these times usually because tourism, and they want to look for these volcanoes, and these volcanoes right now, like, it's kind of popular touristic place if you have money to pay. Yeah, it is beautiful. It is beautiful, but you need to be aware of earthquakes. For sure, you need to be ready. Yes, Ginger, the tornado siren flat sarin and the nuclear sarin had different tunes. Freaking scary. Everything, it is scary. Yeah, my advice, of course, for people, like, yeah, you can write in comments to mention, like, what should to do people when they experiencing earthquakes. If you're living close to coast, immediately you need to be aware that high possibility of tsunami after. You need to like to know if there are like chances. I don't know what can you do there, like if buildings wiping like nothing. It's terrible. I don't know.
Russia wasn't the only country impacted by the quake. Roughly 6 hours later, Hawaii was struck by a small tsunami which damaged several ships. The power of this earthquake was enough to send a wave across the Pacific Ocean in less than 10 hours, something that very few quakes have done before. Had it not been for the remoteness of the region, who knows how many more lives would have been lost.
Yeah, usually on Kamchatka, in Kamchatka region, there do not live so many people compared to other regions in Russia. As a result, maybe it is good in this, not maybe, it is good in this situation that it wasn't so populated area, because consequences could be much worse. And it is yeah, it is sad. Yeah, like you can see in China happened less magnitude of earthquake, but because of population, like how many people live in there, intensity, as a result much more people were killed by this disaster. It is terrible. In Russia it's happened like much bigger disaster, like 3 tsunamis. I mean, it's good that this place was not so populated. Yeah, hello to Lisa Marshall. Happy to see you. Happy to see you. Heart to you, Lisa Marshall. Heart to you.
If you know anything about earthquakes, then you know there's no way to leave out one of the most historic of all time. In 2011, Japan was hit with the most powerful earthquake the country has ever felt. The quake struck only 43 miles off the east coast of Oshika Peninsula and produced a tsunami that claimed thousands of lives and caused billions of dollars in damage. When it first hit, the entire island of Honshu shook violently. In fact, it was so intense that the geographical position of the island moved roughly 8 feet east. The tsunami itself measured in at around 42 feet high, and it absolutely devastated the Japanese mainland. To make matters worse, it caused severe damage to the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, causing a level 7 meltdown in 3 of the reactors. It was the worst nuclear disaster since the Chernobyl explosion in
It was 2011 when it's happened, and I was studying in Vladivostok at this moment of time. I was studying in university, and I was, because it is close to us, and people were trying to help somehow to Japan in 2011. All people, even I know students who does not have so much, they try to help to Japan. There was places in Vladivostok made to help in Japan. I don't know, like they were gathering like volunteering support if you want to help to Japan, and then they were sending this support to directly to Japan. I don't know. Anyway, what I'm talking about. In 2011, I was student. I was living in Vladivostok, and all around the news, everything was about this earthquake. Everything, and I was not able, like, even our classes at school, at university, they decided to not to do them, to not like, just in case, because of tsunami in Japan. Yeah, we were not studying these days. 3 or a couple days we were not studying. I don't remember how many, but we were not studying. But we had something like small earthquakes at this period of time close to Vladivostok. It wasn't impossible to compare with what's happened in Japan, but still we had a little bit shaking time there. But people were, I don't know, it was terrible. It was terrible. I remember how I was sitting looking for news. Yeah. The volcano, the big one here. Oh, I will be, yes. It is interesting. It is interesting that I hope, of course, it is understandable that earthquakes they will always be, and it's sad, and you can see that here. You can see this, despite that it is earthquake in Japan, they show these footages like Russia beyond
1986. So, along with the death toll, an additional 228,863 people are still having to live away from their homes due to how contaminated the area is. It's hard to put into one video just how astounding the damage from this event was. Japan's National Police Agency estimates that around 45,000 buildings were completely destroyed and another 144,000 were damaged. Somewhere between 15,000 and 20,000 people are believed to have lost their lives, and the total economic loss is estimated to be north of $200 billion. Of all the earthquakes to occur in modern times, there are only a few that stand out, and the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami is one of them. On December 26th, a magnitude 9.1 earthquake with an epicenter just off the west coast of
9.1. Just to be sure that I'm not mistaken. 9.1. In New York City right now, like yesterday, if Alice, yeah, you said that you had yesterday earthquake, there was 4.8, in some places 5.1. Like if it is like center of earthquake, the far it is from center, the less this magnitude. And as a result, less consequences. But here you can see nearly twice a level of magnitude, 9.1 in India.
Of northern Sumatra, Indonesia, struck just under the sea floor. The quake lasted for 8 to 10 minutes, making it the longest duration ever recorded. The violent shaking, however, ended up being the least of the problems for the surrounding countries. Not long after things began, the first tsunami waves reached the coastlines of several Indian Ocean countries. But the worst hit of them were Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Thailand, India, and Myanmar. In some areas, the wave crashed into land at over 100 feet high. Just try to imagine that. Sadly, the suddenly receding tide, which is the first warning sign of an impending wave, mesmerized many people on the beach. By the time they realized what was up, for many, it was too late. Official reports claim that over 227,000 people across 14 countries lost their lives. The 2004 Indian Ocean
It's terrible. Like it's not only like it affected different countries. First of all, we can see Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India, and Thailand. In Indonesia was killed. Estimated death 167. Confirmed 130. Thousands. 167,000. Gosh, this is terrible. This is something new. I didn't know about this.
lives. The 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami was one of the costliest and deadliest natural disasters in recorded history. Scientists were stunned that an earthquake that powerful could have such an effect on the Earth.
Why didn't hear about this earthquake? Maybe yes, because Japan was always close to me, and I've heard every time when it's happening something in China. Pretty often I'm like, okay. I mean, like I knew because where I was living. It is close to Japan, South Korea, North Korea, and Japan, and China. That's why I usually like heard about these earthquakes there. But in India, maybe that's one of the reasons I didn't hear. But still, it is terrible.
It was a stark reminder that
I was 2004. I was a little boy. Maybe this is one of the reasons. It is somehow, yeah, I was a boy. Yeah, I think this is one of the reasons.
no matter how much we prepare and plan, we are always at the mercy of Mother Nature.
Yeah, we are always. Yeah, we are always need to be careful. Number two.
On March 27th of 1964, a 9.2 magnitude quake shook south-central Alaska for a full 4 minutes and 38 seconds, causing massive amounts of damage, opening ground fissures, collapsing structures, and producing tsunamis that caused about 131 deaths. Named the Great Alaskan Earthquake, it now holds the title as the second most powerful ever recorded. On a geological scale, this earthquake dwarfed any others. 600 miles of the fault line ruptured at the same time, releasing hundreds of years of built-up stress and moving up to 60 feet in the course of the 4 minute and 38 seconds. Huge cracks opened in the earth, destroying roads and property. Landslides occurred due to soil liquefaction in more mountainous regions. There were even some areas near the island of Kodiak that permanently rose by 30.
I'm sure because it is this part of the USA, Russia, and our USA sharing border with Russia, and in Kamchatka, there was some effect too. Because, yeah, it makes sense, because there you can find Russia, so...
30 feet. However, others around the city of Anchorage dropped as much as 8 feet. Underwater landslides collapsed the Valdez City harbor and docks, resulting in the deaths of 32 people. Tsunamis up to 27 feet washed away villages up and down the Alaskan coast. Luckily, the death toll was very low due to the sparsely populated area in which it occurred. But the images of the disaster are enough to show you just how extreme it was. You can only imagine what would have happened had it occurred near a major city.
And they're showing, of course, New York, and it is one of the reasons why I decided today to watch, like, with you in live stream about earthquakes, because yeah, a couple days ago there happened like an earthquake in Taiwan, and then next day, it was yesterday, happened earthquake in New York and close to New York. It is terrible. I mean, we are lucky that it was without major, it wasn't so big, let's say like this. Lucky, because if in New York would happen like 9.1 magnitude, can you imagine? In New York, 9.1, it would be disaster, real disaster. Yeah.
Only imagine what would have happened had it occurred near a major city. It's hard to imagine an earthquake more powerful than any of these already mentioned. How much more powerful can things really get? On May 22nd of 1960, residents of Valdivia, Chile found out the answer. On that day, a magnitude 9.4 to 9.6 earthquake struck near the town of Lumaco. The ruptured area spanned a length of between 500 and 1,000 kilometers, or 311 to 621 miles. Prior to this, there was increased seismic activity leading up to the main event. When it finally hit, it caused localized tsunamis with waves as high as 82 feet to crash into some seaside villages. The tsunami also impacted faraway lands such as Hawaii, New Zealand, and Japan, among others. While countless towns and villages were impacted by this disaster, the most devastated was the city of Valdivia. Here, nearly half the city's buildings were left uninhabitable, as can be seen in the few aftermath.
Yeah, when you see these footages, it is disaster, just disaster. And I see a message, Ginger, you said, I remember my body lifting off of the couch. My brother's house was 100 years old. It's now not there though. Yeah, I'm understanding that shaking, like earthquake can shake quite well buildings. What about like human bodies? Like you will be like nothing, and bad there will be too, kind of shaky for sure. It is terrible. It is terrible. I hope that the most terrible parts of this, you're not protected. Nobody protected from this kind of disaster. I mean, how you can be protected from this? It's just impossible. Yeah, and that's as a result, buildings can just fall apart. Big, small buildings, doesn't matter, high, tall, thick, thin. Yeah, and tsunami on the top of this can just destroy what wasn't destroyed before. And what can I say? Just I don't know, that's one of the reasons when you're building a house, of course, it's always important to remember about good quality. If you have money, try to build this good quality building which will be not shakeable, if I can say so, or not destructible.
Photos that are available. Still, historians claim the level of damage was relatively low given the extremely high magnitude of the quake. This is mostly due to the limited amount of development in areas closest to the epicenter. In the end, some 2 million people were left homeless, around 3,000 were injured, and approximately 1,000 to 6,000 lost their lives. The total economic cost is believed to be in the range of $550 million, which would be nearly $5 billion if adjusted for inflation. Well, that's all we have for today. If you want to see another video just like this, then be sure to
Yeah, it was interesting live stream, I want to tell you. It was interesting. Yes. I know that such earthquakes, they can happen anywhere. Anywhere. They can happen and you cannot predict them. You cannot pretty well prepare. You can prepare for this in some way. Example, if you example will I don't know, at the beginning to have standards for buildings, good quality of buildings, and in such way you can be less there will be less damage for infrastructure, I don't know, or maybe for buildings, different important places. Yeah, and I think that it was quite useful for me to live stream. I hope that for you this live stream was useful too, and it would be nice if you will give your likes, and also you can leave your comments below. Yeah, my advice for you to be careful these days, I don't know what kind of advice you can give people when there is happening earthquake. Just have no idea, because just pray, I don't know, and hide under the table, or maybe to go outside immediately from the building if you have opportunity to do so. Do this without any thought, and take with yourself your loved ones. Don't forget anyone. Okay, what can I say? It was an interesting live stream. I hope that you enjoyed too. What can I do? I can remind to you that I have Buy Me a Coffee, and you can help me in Buy Me a Coffee. I have their goals, example with car, and it would be nice if you will support me there. And thank you, Lisa Marshall, for showing these links. I see that in our Eagle community you show that to help Alex on PayPal, and the first car ever. Yes. And I see your message, Frank in Texas. Where do I go during a tornado? I live in mobile home and no brick buildings near me. I have no idea. I have no idea. Just pray. I really have no idea. Like, it is good. Like, if I will give you wrong advice, I mean, what can I say? I don't know. But about tornadoes, we will do another different live stream. As for now, anyway, try to be safe. Try to be safe. Yes, I'm hugging you, wishing you to be yourself. Try to be yourself, it is always important. And try to smile, even if it is sometimes difficult, who knows. Yeah, be yourself, it is important, and as always, see you next time.